This is some bad news for the New York Knicks, and if you're a Knicks fan, you have to be frustrated with this. But I'm going to read out this excerpt from NBA insider Ian Begley. Knicks center Mitchell Robinson will not be ready for the start of the regular season. Depending on rehab process, December and January is a target for Robinson's return, per sources. Robinson is recovering from offseason ankle surgery. Knicks and Robinson do not want to rush the rehab process, and both want Robinson 100% before his return. Knicks internally is confident in the depth and versatility of the team to compete while Robinson is out, per league sources. Yeah, this is a huge blow for the Knicks. There's just no way to spin it. They lost Isaiah Hartenstein during the offseason, which hurt their depth. That he was a huge part of their playoff run this last season. Just he was big for them. He came on strong towards the end of last season, especially when Mitchell Robinson was out for most of the year afterwards. He filled in big. And now just not having Mitch to start the season really makes the Knicks thin when you look at their center spot. They don't really have a legit center now. You look at their big men that are available to possibly play the spot. You can have Precious Achiuwa play the spot, but he's 6'8", so he's undersized. Maybe they'll trot him out as their starting center since he has the most experience of the bigs that they have on their roster to possibly play in that position. I'm not going to include Julius because I can't ever see Julius play center. He's such a defensive liability. There's just no way I could see him sliding into that spot. But I could see them possibly putting Achiuwa at that spot, but he's undersized, so that could hurt their interior defense. And then you look at the other centers they have available. Jericho Sims, he's never proven to be even solid during his time with the Knicks. So I don't know if you could put him as a plug-in into that position. Like, they would have to rely heavily on him, and he's just been mediocre the last few years. He hasn't really shown anything special. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but you have him as an option, and then you have their second round pick. I don't even know if I'm saying this guy's name right. Ariel Hookporty. He was their second round pick. He's only 22 years old, so he's not really a young rookie. So he was a second round pick out of Germany. Maybe they'll give him a chance to prove himself, but they're very thin. They are very thin at the center spot. I just don't see it working out so well for them in that regard. Maybe they can win a lot of games without having a interior defender for the time that Mitchell Robinson is not there for those first 2 months or so. They could possibly get away with it. I haven't checked their schedule to see the degree of difficulty, but I think without Mitchell Robinson, they can play above 500 basketball. But the question is, how effective is their defense going to be without a rim protector? It's going to really expand other guys' efforts, that they're going to have to do so much more on the defensive end just to make the rotations and Tibbs' system just work. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on other guys that could cause them to overexert themselves, and it could result in injuries. So that's really terrible in that regard for Knicks fans. They have to be concerned about that because Tibbs definitely overworks guys, and guys are going to be overworked in this situation without having a legit center to man the interior when it comes to rim protection. That hurts. I also feel that if you're a Knicks fan and if you're the Knicks, you got to be concerned about Mitchell Robinson. Granted, this is just them being precautionary over this injury, but it's still taking him time to heal. He's not a quick healer. He tends to be a slow healer. That's of concern. And plus, he's injury prone. You have to rely on this guy pretty much all year not to have a significant injury once he comes back and to be available for the playoffs, because if he ever gets hurt, then you're pretty much cooked. I don't think the Knicks will be able to get out of the East without having at least a legit rim protector. They're going to really need that to have a chance against the top teams like Boston, for instance. They're going to need that, especially against in a rematch with Indiana. They definitely will need the size. We saw what happened once they lost Hartenstein and Mitch for that series, how it changed everything. So I think that's very important. If you're the Knicks, I would be thinking about making a trade, not an immediate trade right now, because you don't want to give the rest of the league ideas that you're desperate, so some other team could scam you, but you definitely want to be pursuing this on the side just for the next several months, well into All-Star break, I would say, to see if you could somehow get another legit solid big man through a trade. That's what the Knicks should be looking for. They should be keeping tabs on certain guys that could become available through trade. That's what they need to be looking into right now. So that's one thing I would say that the Knicks definitely have to do, because they're very thin, and relying on Mitchell Robinson all year is like playing Russian roulette if you're hoping for him to never get hurt. That's the way I look at it.